trust everybody had a great long weekend, whether that be in Canada or the United States. I know I did. I went up north for a little bit and had some fun at the cottage. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about collecting Doulton art pottery. Doulton, even though it was started back in 1815 by John Doulton, he typically made pieces made for pubs and inns in stoneware and salt glazed porcelain. A lot of those can still be found today, of course mostly in England, but there are a few large collections of it that do appear for sale periodically in the United States and sometimes in Canada. Doulton art pottery can be split up into two main categories, Burslem or Lambeth. Those are depicted by where they were produced. In 1871, Henry Doulton, the son of John Doulton, opened the Lambeth factories to artists from the Lambeth School of Art. He encouraged the students to come to the potteries and create pretty much whatever they wanted. What's unusual about this process was that Henry Doulton encouraged his artists to sign their works. So otherwise, Eliza Simmons, Hannah Barlow, Florence Barlow, George Tinworth, Frank Butler, Mark Marshall, some of the great well-known Doulton artists, all signed the bottom of their pieces that they designed. They didn't necessarily always paint the pieces as well, although in some cases they did. They were usually other artists who came along later and painted the pieces and filled in the flowers or the lions and tigers or the rest of the design. So in some of the earlier pieces in Lambeth art pottery, if you look on the bottom, you can see not only the designer's mark, i.e. Hannah Barlow, Mark Marshall, or George Tinworth, etc. But you can also see other marks, and those other marks are additional painters and artists who helped in the process of creating that individual piece. The great thing about Doulton art pottery is almost all of it is handmade. In 1890, all the pieces were actually dated. So again, along with the signature of the artists, i.e. Frank Butler or Florence Barlow or Hannah Barlow, you'll see a date on the bottom, i.e. it'll say like 1880 or 1879 or 1871. It'll actually say the date. Those numbers are the actual year it was produced. After 1890, they stopped this process of dating the individual pieces. And so the only way you can really date a piece is by the style of the bag stamp. I will include later, this week or next week, a list of bag stamps on my website that will help you identify them and date them if they don't have the actual date on the bottom of the piece. In 1882, Doulton decided, with the success of the Lambeth potteries, he decided to open another factory up in Burslem. So that's why a lot of times you'll have pieces being referred to as Burslem pottery or Lambeth pottery. This piece is a piece of what they call impastoware. Impastoware was where they actually applied the actual porcelain to the outside of the vase, as you can see here in the vase. See? And then of course later on they painted in the rest of it. As you can see here, it does have a date mark, 1879, and then it also has the artist's signature. We collect Lambeth pottery or Burslem pottery. Both can be found relatively inexpensively now, and pieces can range from little tiny pieces to really, really big pieces like this huge Eliza Simmons lamp. Tiny pieces like this little miniature salt glaze silicone vase for these pair of vases, probably not vases, really very, very tiny, but they're very, very cute. Again, all hand painted and all hand decorated fairly early.